Well, hello there. Today I'm going to take you through fixing a puncture. Before we start, let's go through. Obviously, you need a punctured wheel. This is flat. Unfortunately, I got a puncture. I've taken it off the bike already. For that, I needed a 15mm spanner or an adjustable spanner. If you can't get the wheel off, then perhaps that's something that we'll go through next time. You'll also need some tyre levers, a pump, and a puncture repair kit. There may be other things that we need, such as, I've got a bucket of water, but it could be the kitchen sink or a bath. It could also be the canal, but I didn't want to go all the way down there, so I've got a bucket of water. Yeah, and I think that's all we'll need. I hope that's all we'll need. So start off, we need to get and find out where the puncture is. So 2 tyre levers. Slide it under the bead of the tyre and then hook it round one of the spokes. A little bit further round, do the same again. And then I'm going to hook this one and slide this one. If it doesn't slide, pull one out and move around again. There will come a point where you can easily slide. At this point I tend to get rid of the tyre levers and get my hands in. Coming all the way around, find where the valve is, poke the valve into the tyre and then pull it out. Now at this point I would say just lay that flat on the ground, because the reason you've had a puncture is because something's gone through the tyre. So carefully I'm going to run my fingers around the inside of the tyre, examining my tyre but also looking on the inside for something sharp that's going to cause a puncture. Now if you look at this tyre, you can see that it's really worn, and that there is possibly, doesn't go all the way through, but it goes a long way through. It's a weakness. This tyre, look at that, this tyre is pretty well dead. So this is my puncture kit, and I tend to buy a great big strip of patch and cut it up to make the sizes that I want, and a big tube of glue. So that's my puncture kit that I carry with me. This is Laburnum's puncture kit, which you can see is a combination of lots of things. So generally you'll get a nice little thing like this, and it will have all sorts of stuff. Never really any instructions on how to do it, but what you will need is a bit of sandpaper, a bit of glue and a patch. Now you can see here, these are the sort of patches that come with a kit, and they equate quite nicely to this here, but this hasn't really been finished. I'm going to be honest here, I hate these patches. I would much rather go with a patch like this. They tend to be a bit heavier, but my ideal choice is I can cut it up to match the size of the tube. So, I've not found anything that might have created the puncture. I now need to find where the hole is. Well, it's not actually one I prepared earlier. It's one that I've had sitting around at home for months. Now you can hear this one I can't really pump up, because there's my hole. Now if you can see, it used to be, well actually no, that puncture has been fixed before, but obviously it hasn't worked, or it's leaked out of the patch, so it hasn't been a successful puncture. I'm looking at it now, I can tell you exactly why. And this is where cutting your own patches can be a bit of an issue, because When we put the patch on, we want to get the hole in the middle of the patch. So there's a good amount of patch all the way around the hole. And you can see here, this was closer to this edge. So I'm going to guess that this is where it was leaking. Anyway, we found the hole. Next up, we need to take our sandpaper. And we need to roughen up and get rid of any stuff let's go on to here. What we're trying to do is get rid of any old glue or any old patch, but more importantly, rough up the tube so as that the glue has got something to stick into. Right, I'm going to say that's good enough. And then what we can do now, oh, not bad, is we're going to apply some glue. Now, I know that that's where the hole is. You can see it's bubbling. I'm going to be generous with this glue all the way around. And then I don't have any problem with getting my fingers dirty. The glue will rub off later. Now, hopefully this is going to show you why I don't like these patches. This patch, you can see, is wider than my tube, which means that when I put it on, I'm going to have to fold it round. Well, that doesn't really work because you then tend to encapsulate a hole into your patch. There was another one there. Now that is a tiny little patch. That will fit nicely onto my tube, but if you remember, I said the width from the hole to the edge of the patch needed to be quite big, which is where my patch is coming. I'm going to select that one. So, I've put the glue on. You notice I wasn't that bothered about letting it dry. What I actually want to do is I want to let it completely dry. So that's still tacky. What you can do, if you don't want to blow it with your mouth, you can use the pump. Or blow it until it's not tacky. You want that series of glue, that layer of glue, to dry out. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to make a sandwich. You've got the inner tube that you've roughened up. You've then allowed a layer of glue on top of that, and you're going to put another layer of glue. So the glue is going to stick to the glue. And then the patch has got a sticky bit on the back, and that's going to stick to the outer layer of glue. So, this is now dry. I'm going to take my glue again, refine the hole, and if you've lost where the hole is, what you can do is just stretch. You can see right in the middle between my thumbs there, that's where the hole is. So as I know exactly where my centre is, and I'm going to put another layer of glue in and spread it round. Don't worry about going too far, don't worry about being too neat. You can see it's a bit lumpy, so again I'm going to get my finger in and I'm going to spread it around. Now this time I don't want it to dry completely, so I've got my patch ready. He says, not having it ready. I've got my patch ready and I'm going to peel off the backing. This is where fingernails can be quite useful. So with this patch, it's just a question of peeling off the backing. If you're using these patches, they're twofold. You need to peel off the tin foil. If you look here, you can see if you peel off the tin foil, you end up with the patch. This has got sticky glue on it. It's not particularly sticky, you couldn't stick that straight onto, but then there's this plastic stuff on the outside, which if you notice, is still stuck on these. That see-through plastic isn't really that important. So this has now gone tacky. I'm going to take this off here. And I'm going to be careful about where I position it. So I want to know where the hole is. The hole is roughly here, and I want to get this in the middle. And I'm going to apply pressure to it. Not for much. Now, that patch is stuck. But what is all the rest of this stuff in the kit? What is all this for? So, what else have we got in the kit? We can move all the patches away. We're left with these. These are quite rough. They're a bit like cheese graters. It's not sandpaper. Don't try and rough up your inner tube with this. Yeah, that's what the sandpaper's for. You've generally got chalk or maybe a bit of wax. Sometimes you won't get one of these. You'll get on the back of the tube. Just grate a little bit of chalk or talc. And that is really just to soak up the excess glue. I never do this. Yeah. Quite happy. So, theoretically, that is a fixed puncture.